After pulling the plug in the Willie Taggart era, just 21 games into the tenure, the final straw, a lackluster loss to the rival Miami last week. Penalties, turnovers, again costly. Florida State will cough up $18 million to send Taggart packing, an additional price to replace him. A crucial decision, the Noles believe, to try to get them back on track.
Frankly, 6-6 isn't good enough, and we didn't see an advantage to waiting to the end. There are going to be a lot of schools out there looking for coaches. There are every year once the season ends. Our feeling was if we could get positioned and be ready to hit the ground running, it would be a significant advantage. We're looking for somebody that can win national championships. I don't have an explicit set of criteria other than that.
Under Willie Taggart, you see the win-loss record, the turnover margin, the sacks allowed, the penalties. I don't know if it's as much the record as the way they perceived it was played, and I think he inherited a tougher situation than people realized, but 21 games is all he got to prove he could do it there.
I thought he was fired prematurely. When you look at the schedule and you look at what they accomplished, he had an uphill struggle. I mean, he had to really come in and change a very toxic culture. I think when you look at Willie Taggart, the writing was on the wall once the man who hired him left, Stan Wilcox. Once Stan left FSU, then Willie's out there all by himself, and now you have a new AD, David Coburn, who said, now don't forget, after the Syracuse game, they made significant progress. And he thought that Willie would be able to recruit himself out of this situation, but then 8 days later, he fires Willie. So I don't think he gave him the full amount of opportunities to try to prove himself. He should at least let him finish out this season, David.
Yeah, and I don't think it was the easy. It's tough to fire a coach after 2 years and defend it at all, but you have to know your program's going absolutely nowhere, and you don't believe in the future. And here's the bottom line. 8-12 at Florida State, you're more talented than every single team you play up at this point, except for Clemson in your league. This league is not in a power position right now. You should be winning. So I do think that Taggart did not do a good job. He did a poor job, and he needs to do better, but that record should be a lot better, and I think you should look at that and say, this is Florida State. 2014, this team won a national championship, not like 20 years ago. This is still a brand in Florida State and still a top job.
Yeah, for sure. You know, last Saturday before he was fired, I was on social media with Chris Fowler, and I said some things about Florida State, and I think people misconstrued. I wasn't attacking Florida State. I wasn't attacking Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart's a friend of mine. I have nothing but a lot of confidence in who he is as a person, first-class gentleman. So I wish him all the best. I wasn't saying they should fire him. I'm a fan of Florida State. If you grew up in our era, you love Florida State. You love the way they used to play back in the 80s and the 90s. We miss Florida State. If anything, I was just disgruntled and frustrated with, as David said, there's talent on that team. There's no discipline on that team. They need a coach that will bring discipline into that team, and now it becomes who is the right guy. See, I think Mark Stoops is an interesting name because of now he has head coaching experience. Last year, SEC Coach of the Year. He was at Florida State as a defensive coordinator, helped build that defense up, and they went on to win a national championship. And Florida State's tricky. It's trickier than many, many jobs out there. Yeah. Jimbo Fisher's winning national championships, still frustrated internally with the athletic department and the way they operate. So you need a guy that understands Florida State, has been there, can recruit in that state as well.
Coaches are going to be a little hesitant or at least proceed with caution with this job. Not that you don't want to have access to talent. They want to know who's in charge. Yeah. Who's running the show there? I mean, the athletic director doesn't have a lot of experience. Who is it? The administration? Who is it? A similar situation, at least in terms of coaching, exists at USC. Now, they're still with Clay Helton right now, but SC has a new president. They've got a new athletic director. They just hired Mike Bohn from Cincinnati. And Clay Helton's record has diminished a little bit, and coming off that loss against Oregon by 30-plus points. Now he's kind of coaching for his future if he can save himself now. SC's in a similar spot to Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's been trending. I remember when Tom Herman was at Houston, and they had already, in the middle of the year, they already had Tom Herman going to USC, and USC ended up getting to the Pac-12 championship that year and had a great year. But I think this feels different. He came into this year needing to play well, and then the injuries start to mount. Right. Tough first 6 games. It's going to be tough to hold on here.
Again, like Willie Taggart, once Lynn Swann was out, you knew the writing was on the wall for Clay Helton. I give him credit, though. I mean, he had to go through 3 quarterbacks this season. His teams, they stayed competitive, but I just don't think he has enough lives down at USC. They wanted him out before the season started, and the way they lost last week against Oregon, it just seems like he's on his way out.
And make no mistake, I think the name that we are going to hear right away is going to be Urban Meyer. And if you hire Urban Meyer, and if that's the name that they want to bring in, make no mistake, you will win 100%. He's won everywhere he's gone. But at what cost? Because the last 2 jobs he left, make no mistake, there was a cost, okay? So I think Urban Meyer is the name that's going to be thrown around right away and will be one to be explored at USC.
There are a lot of reports surrounding that was potentially a sticking point early as to whether you'd be allowed to pursue that.
What's up? Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. Don't forget to download the ESPN app, and if you want more premium content, which you do, make sure that you subscribe to ESPN+. See you soon.